Hi, Wayne Dorband here for the bi-weekly NTP CEED webinar huddle that we hold here at our Northern Colorado headquarters in Loveland, Colorado, both live here at our site and also going out over the web to those of you that are watching. Enjoy what we have for you today.
Today we're going to talk about a subject that I get a lot of comments on, and that is, as you saw the invitation that you got, which is, we're so confusing. And how can we help you understand more about the ventures, the programs, the different kinds of projects that we're involved in? I'm stalling a little bit because Elijah, who's the other administrator, we had some technical glitches earlier, and he's trying to log in, and I'll be able to see when he gets in here as to what we're looking at in terms of the presentation. And again, we've got viewers that are still coming online, and I just wanted to just make sure that I see who all those folks are. And I will tell you right now that you can give your questions on the screen. And by the way, I noticed that an old friend is on here, so I'm just going to call somebody out and say welcome, Matt Comstock. Good to see you out there, or good to see that you're online with us. And so would you go ahead and go to the first website so that we'll have that up, Elijah, on the screen share. So Elijah Butts is here helping me as a co-moderator, and he's actually getting everything prepped so we can look at things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a chronology today of the history of the Nurse the Planet CEED organization and the kinds of things that we do. So it'll be a chronology of time, time that literally goes over the last 7 years, which is when my wife and I moved to Northern Colorado from the Denver area. And we moved up here with the intent of modifying my career. I had been and have been involved in one particular area of business for the last 40 years, and you're going to see that's still a part of what we do. We'll talk about it here in a minute. But then more recently, and the reason we moved to Northern Colorado was so that I could do the kinds of things that I really have a passion for and have been doing avocationally through a lot of my life, which is what our mission here at the Center for Economic Excellence and Development and Nurse the Planet is. And really it's two things. One of them, which is a bigger picture, which was described by Dennis Weaver, that you're going to see some slides about here in a bit, who is the founder of the Institute of Economics, which is one of the entities that we operate here. Dennis said in his cowboy sort of way, we've been screwing the planet up for thousands of years, and we've spent billions of dollars doing it, and now it's time that we spend a little bit of time, or hopefully a lot of time, but making the planet better, and we show people how to make a little bit of money doing it. So that's one of our big missions, and that's to teach people how they can make some money making the planet better. So I'm going to go to a slide here. Not Elijah's going and telling me I'm not going to. What's your problem now, Elijah? Go ahead and just tell me so I can figure it out. If I need to, I'll go to my own. Are we locked again, or the computer locked up? Wow, obviously we'll not use that computer again. Maybe go get another one, because this is not going to work if I have to do it the other way. So we're going to need, John, why don't you transfer and give him your computer. We're reacting on the fly here, because I've got 10 different websites that I need to be showing you. We rehearsed this a lot yesterday and had it all working right, and it's not working right at all today. So I'm going to actually try to do it by putting some websites up here, but chronology-wise, I'm gonna see if this works on my computer. I'm gonna go to what's called a screen share. Well, I think it's working, actually. You're seeing a website, I think, now. Unfortunately, the people in the room are not seeing it. There's going to be a glitch here until we get this straightened out, which is the website for Dorband and Associates. So if if we had another moderator, someone to help me, they'd actually be putting it up. We rehearsed this yesterday, the actual name for that website and how to get there. And it's actually Dorband Associates, so I'll just say it just like it sounds, no and sign, .com. And what you're seeing is the top half of the screen for that site, and you see it rotating through a picture of some alpacas, and you see some aquaponics systems, and you see an old site, looks like an old industrial site with a tank. And that's a pretty good idea of the kinds of things broadly that when I moved up here 7 years ago that I had in my mind that we would continue to do, which is the combination of environmental and sustainable agriculture types of activities. I actually didn't even know what aquaponics meant. I was real fortunate when we first moved up here 7 years ago to be able to hire a guy named George Hedrick. George came on board, and we were actually located, this is for the people here with us, right next door in the building. And George suggested, he asked me, do you know anything about aquaponics? And he had just recently graduated from the University of Vermont and was working with a guy named John Todd, who is a name that if you don't recognize it, you should look John's name up. John is really the guy who was probably one of the early founders of the movement around sustainable living. And John was a partner with a guy named Bob Rodale, who was the founder of what's called Rodale Press. Bob, unfortunately, is dead now, but does anybody know in the room what Rodale Press publishes that's pretty well known? That again, if you've never seen it, you should look for it. Do you, Bill? What is it? Yeah, but there's one thing they publish that if you, it's old school, but for those of you that are younger, you should look it up. It is probably the most definitive sort of consistent guide for sustainable living. It's called Mother Earth News, and Mother Earth News will be found in different kinds of magazines on any place you'd go. But Mother Earth News was founded in the 60s by Bob Rodale and by Rodale Press and John Todd. So George came in and said, "Do you want to do aquaponics?" And I said, "I don't know what it is." So he described it to me, and he built an aquaponics system, which we actually still have one little part of here, and it's been operating for 7 years, and that started us out on an adventure to where we'll show more of it here in a little bit. But Dorband and Associates at the time was doing three things. It was doing environmental consulting, like you're seeing on the screen now. It was doing different kinds of things involved in sustainable development. We had the intent of doing real estate development in northern Colorado, where we would build communities where there would be community centers where instead of them being a bunch of grass and a swimming pool, instead they would be a farm and an orchard and different things. This was 2006 and 2007, and the real estate market was just on a rocket ship climb at that point. So we were moving ahead with that program and the development side. And what happened in 2008? Who remembers? Economy crashed, and we were a victim of that. We had 5 subdivisions that we'd acquired. We had already built one home in one of those subdivisions. It was actually the one I was living in. So we were going to do this development, and we had spent about $10 million on real estate acquisition and had one home that was built. We had building permits for another full subdivision. We had all the zoning done. We had a loan commitment for a construction line. And one day I got a phone call from the bank that said, "We're pulling your credit line. And not only that, but we want you to repay us for what you already have out there tomorrow." Well, that wasn't real easy to do. You don't just come up with that kind of money from nowhere. So between 2009, which is when that happened, and about a year ago, a little less than that, we tried to fight that process and survive and go on with the things that we were passionate about. But obviously it didn't involve development. So what it kind of forced us to look into doing was to do more of the sustainable agriculture sorts of things. So that's what what moved us into that area. This is a website for the Institute of Economics, and so Elijah, if you'd put up on the chat the name of these websites so that people can pull them down. So you're going to see on the chat screen that there will be the website names so that you can look them up if you'd like to at some point. And you can see that this screen is scrolling through some of the front page information for the Institute of Economics. So just as all this negative was happening in the real estate market, one of my partners, Scott Fardulis, was on the board and had been on the board of a nonprofit that's based here in Colorado called the Institute of Economics. And that word economics comes from Dennis Weaver, who I mentioned earlier, who was the founder of that group. And would you go to the next, to the About page, Elijah, which is over on the left on the button bar on the top, and then go down to Dennis Weaver. Click on Dennis Weaver. There you go. So there is Dennis Weaver. Anybody recognize that picture? No, that person? Probably one person in this room that might. Dennis Weaver was a famous actor back in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, and that picture was taken in his later life. Dennis was actually 80 years old in that picture. And Dennis died about 7 years ago, right as we were moving up here to northern Colorado. And Scott, the name I mentioned earlier, was on the board of directors for the Institute of Economics. And I had gotten involved with Dennis through the Institute previously. And Dennis's wife, Jerry, who is also a board member, why don't you go to the next one that's the board of directors and see if we were trying to see if we get a picture of Jerry up there today. I don't know whether we got it edited yet to where, nope, we don't have it yet, but scroll down to Jerry there so people can read that on their screen. Jerry Weaver is Dennis's wife, and Jerry is 93 years old now. She still lives in an earthship home that she and her husband Dennis built 20 years ago now in the Telluride area. And Jerry asked me if I would take over the Institute of Economics, me and Scott. And we reluctantly said no initially because we had a number of other things. Remember, we're still doing this real estate development work. But then eventually we agreed. And so about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago or so, we accepted that we would take over the management of the Institute of Economics. And the Institute of Economics literally had one goal in mind, which was the one that I said, Weaver's cowboy sort of way, was to teach people how to make the planet better and to have them make some money doing it. So really what that meant was to grow entrepreneurs, to build entrepreneurs, teach people to be entrepreneurs. So we've been doing that for the last 5 years now. The difference between what Dennis did and what we now do, though, and cruise around this site a little bit just so people can see it, just go to some of the other tabs and they can see different places on it, was that Dennis's passion was specifically automobiles, transportation, and alternative energy. He was very interested in utilizing alternative fuels like hydrogen and electric and natural gas and other types of alternative fuel uses. He developed and had two of the most famous events that, again, if you would have been around that interest in the early 2000s, one was called the Drive to Survive that occurred in 2003. The other one was to Drive for Life in 2005. They were adventures of cars, caravans of vehicles, one of them across the United States from San Francisco to Washington, D.C., and the other one from Seattle, Washington down to San Diego. And they involved gala affairs every night with celebrities and people that were governmental officials and so on. BMW actually says the major reason that they got into electric vehicles was because of Dennis Weaver and the Institute of Economics. Well, that was Dennis's passion. I'm not a wrench, as they say, and a mechanic, and alternative fuel was not my passion. And when I agreed with Jerry that we would take over, I said, we'll do it, but our focus is probably going to be a little different. It's still going to be on helping people to become entrepreneurs, but our focus is probably going to be on sustainable agriculture and sustainable living. So that said, the new site that you see in this website, and we actually came up with a new logo that you see up on the top. And so you can go to this website, learn all about it. Go over to where it says the Nourish the Planet there, because I'm going to show that website in a second. This is a picture of somebody that, again, older folks in the room might recognize or that are on board. And I'm looking at Bill Hedger here in the room. Do you know who that is? Right, that's Linda Gray from Dallas, from the TV show Dallas. And how old would you think that lady is? Now, pictures are hard to, so she's in Africa, and it was taken 2 years ago. So it was in the summer 2 years ago. She was 71. Linda Gray is an amazing, when Linda Gray was 50 years old, she was voted one of the 10 most beautiful people in the world, beautiful women in the world, at 50. And she does hardly any makeup. She is literally, she doesn't advertise any of the skincare, because that's the way she's been treating herself. In this picture was taken, she was in Africa with these children. She was at that time the United Nations ambassador to hunger in the world. And so she was promoting a program called Nourish the Children at the time. And so the name Nourish the Planet that you see there highlighted came out of that. And we decided to start an initiative called Nourish the Planet. And the initiative Nourish the Planet has one very specific goal in mind, which is what our slogan is, which is to enable 1 million ecopreneurs by 2016 to teach the world to feed itself. So you have to think that through, and to hear it and to think of what it means. It doesn't mean that we're teaching people and we're feeding people. It means we're teaching people to feed people. So it's teaching teachers. That's what our goal is. Started in 2012, and we're now approximately 2 years into it. So we have 3 years to go. That 1 million number is a very aggressive, big number, but we have been keeping track, and we're over 100,000. 2 years in. That says, well, how are you going to reach it in 3 more years? Well, we've always assumed it would be exponential, and we still strongly believe that we can reach that number. And hopefully a bunch of you will help us with that. So I'm going to switch back to me real quick while Elijah changes sides. So we're actually going to go to the Nourish the Planet website now. And Elijah, are you putting into the chat room anything about the website names as we're doing it here? Because I'm looking at another portion of the site. By the way, I'll throw it out now. If you get any questions and you have any questions while you're going on here, if you would throw them out here, and Elijah will tell me when he gets some or sees some, because I'm trying to concentrate. I see Doug had a question here. I have to put my glasses on now. Oh, there he is, Drive to Survive. That was Doug talking about it. And then Doug also asked, how is Jerry? Jerry's doing great. She's 92 years old, will be 93 this year, still lives on her own in this Earthship home that Dennis and Jerry built. She has an assistant that has been Dennis's actually lifelong assistant named Alice, who still helps her, so she comes in and does some things for her, but Jerry's still self-sufficient. When Dennis died, they'd been married 62 years, which was really pretty cool. And Jerry's a really neat lady. So again, continuing the story, we had some problems in the real estate development side. I'm just going to briefly say this, but those problems continued to accelerate into where a year ago, about this time a year ago, we were forced to file personal as well as business bankruptcy. A huge defeat for us, but not a failure. And us, meaning my wife and I, and with the business and at that time, and it didn't impact the Institute of Economics, didn't impact any of that the Institute's a nonprofit organization. But we did have, and here's a name some of you will have heard, we had a corporate entity called Mountain Sky Group. And Mountain Sky Group was our for-profit entity that was doing the real estate development, that was doing a number of different things. And then the Institute of Economics was our nonprofit group. So this is the website for the Institute of for Nourish the Planet. We combined those two units. We formed a new entity by creating Nourish the Planet, which has the goals that I just gave you a little bit earlier. And that entity is called an L3C. That's a corporate form that you can do here in Colorado, which allows a partnership between a nonprofit organization, the Institute of Economics, and a for-profit entity, which early on was Mountain Sky Group, and now it's Dorband and Associates. So it's a partnership between those two entities to develop a business relationship. So we formed Nurse the Planet, and one of the things we did really early on, and I really encourage you to go to this website. There's all kinds of, go back to where the video was. Notice that there's a video. That was last week's huddle. So you can actually go to the Nurse the Planet site, which Eliza's put up the web address for, and you can watch that video as a replay. But there are hundreds of blogs on here, articles, and Elijah was scrolling down through them that you can see and you can look at. They're written by authors that we get to write. We don't just buy articles from people. We believe that they're relevant, that they have something that you can get from them. They cover all different aspects. Note this one is benefits of organic farming, and let's scroll down to the next one. Let's see what the next one, there might be one more on the page. Keep going, Elijah, down a little bit more. Okay, stop there. So here's future business trends involving agriculture. Lots of things. We really encourage you to go into the site. So go back up to the button bar at the top, because I want to point out a few other things on this. Any week you can come on and there'll be an invitation to our huddles. And we were initially going to be doing these huddles weekly. We've rethought that a little, and we're actually going to do them every other week, or more specifically, we're going to do them the first and the third Wednesdays of every month. So this is the first Wednesday, so our next one will be on the 19th. So we'll be doing them first and third Wednesday. And I'll mention it now, and I'll say it again later. We're looking for topics, so please suggest different topics. This will be the last time that you see me talking. All I wanted to do is use 2 of these to just introduce the process. We're going to start with guests starting 2 weeks from now, and we'll have guests that will talk on any topic that will fit into what we're interested in here. So just click on some of those, and they can see the kinds of things that are on this site. There's all kinds, and actually go to the lower button bar, Elijah, the orange one that's down below. You'll find lots of different topics, and I'm just kind of cruising around just to let you show you what's out there. I do have a question here that looks like Jonah asked, is I really want to be an ecopreneur. I'm a CSU in Fort Collins now. Can I meet up with you guys sometimes? Absolutely. We'll put up on the screen when Elijah gets back on here a phone number that you can call the office here and schedule a way to get in touch with us and come and see us. And we would encourage you to do that. And Lee asked if you can attend from a tablet. Absolutely. That's one of the reasons that we chose this platform. You can attend from your phone, from a tablet, and I don't know, Bill, do you have it up on your phone? Okay. Okay. You should go and click on that, because this is a really great book. It was just literally written. It was published January 4th of this year by a guy that I know who, the author. It's free. It's about 75 pages, and I just highly recommend it. We're going to be putting different things up there in that headline bar on multiples of these sites over time. Anyway, aquaculture was a big part of my life and has been, but never anything more than an avocational or a secondary business. So at one time I had a very large tilapia. I was told it was the largest tilapia hatchery in the United States up in Idaho, literally at a geothermal site on the middle fork of the Boise River, and one person in the room I know knows the area. So it was on the middle fork of the it's not the Boise River actually. What would be the river? No, it's not. You know what? It is the Boise. It actually is the middle fork of the Boise. So it's above Lucky Peak Reservoir, about 25 miles back into the backcountry, completely off grid. This is 1987. We had a site completely off grid, with hundreds of thousands of tilapia fry that we would take by big tanker trucks down to the Boise airport 2 or 3 times a week, that would be flown all over the world to tilapia producers. And we grew them in big cylindrical tanks that we had, and we had converted one of those tanks into a hot tub, and it was off the back of where our shop was. And so picture this. This is 1987. We could be in this hot tub with a fly rod, literally fly fishing in the Boise River that was as far away from me as the table as Justin is right now, so 15, 20 feet, and could be fly fishing in the river. And we had one of the old-time C quality satellite dishes up there because it was the only way that we could communicate. And we had an old-style big screen TV over here, and so we could be watching the Olympics right now, for example, or Sports Center, as we were sitting in this hot tub and fly fishing on the Boise River. And I only give that because it gives you a little insight about what one of my interests in life are and sort of why we get attracted to the kinds of things that we do. Really beautiful. Well, we came here to northern Colorado, and we had a chance to start doing aquaculture on a full-time basis. So we've done a number of projects. Go to, I think it says here on the projects that we've done, so you can read what some of them are and some of the things that we're involved in now. So Worldwide Aquaculture is a consulting business and a construction business involved in projects involving aquaculture. So Elijah, I'm going to switch back to me, and then why don't you go to the next website. About the same time that we were getting Nourish the Planet going, and maybe just a little bit ahead of it, again, we had this one property that I mentioned that we had developed, and we were going to put multiple residences on it when we had our loans called back in 2009, and we had already built 2 homes on this property, 160 acres, one of them which we were living in, and the other in which my son Dustin and his family were living in. And he had just, after a period of time, had moved into another house that he had bought, and so the second house was empty. Well, in Larimer County, if you're going to get agricultural tax benefits, you have to have a legitimate agriculture operation. So we turned aquaculture into our legitimate agriculture operation, and so for a number of years, and we're still doing it now, we built a series of ponds and a small lake on the property where we stocked fish, and we've had professional folks that have come in. I'm getting something here saying Elijah has added something. So that was a message that came up, Elijah. So are we on that other site yet? Looks like not. There we go. I'm going to switch over to the Mountain Sky Ranch site. So the property that we live on is called Mountain Sky Ranch. We named it that. And our goal was to develop it into an event center and a sustainable agriculture demonstration site. And you're seeing pictures of some of the things that we've done there. So that's a greenhouse in which we have aquaponics going. Elijah, let's go to that video and let's see if we can play it. And I don't think we can expand the size on this, but in the background we're going to have this playing. I don't think you'll hear anything, but it'll give you a little view as you're sort of watching this about what the kinds of goals that we set. So this video is about 5 years old now. You see some pictures of some goats up at the top and some alpacas. I'll talk about those in a minute. You just switched and you see some microgreens. I'm going to talk about that in a minute also. Chicken tractor that just came up that we use. I'll talk more about alpacas, and you see the 2013 national champion there. So we built this ranch. We built it to be a place that people could come and guess what? Learn how to feed themselves, and we've been doing that. We put in a 1/3 acre market garden on a slope that had never been farmed before. We put up retaining walls to build areas of it, and in the first summer we produced more food on 1/3 of an acre. We had 80 different varieties of food than I've even had lots of friends that said they've even produced on 2 or 3 acres. We were very fortunate to have some really passionate farmers that would work with us and help us develop that. So again, I hope you get a chance sometime to come up and visit us. That site's called Mountain Sky Ranch LLC.com, and I think Elijah will put that name up. Jonah has put a point on, and he's talked about coming and visiting us sometime. So yeah, Doug had put a note and said the sound had gone out, and I think we got that back. That was me making a mistake and pushing the button wrong here. Okay, so I've got to put it up on the screen here, and I'll put it, so the website here is www.mountainSkyRanchLLC.com. So that's the website you're looking at right now. Previously you looked at www.worldwideaquaculture.com, and we looked at www.nourishtheplanet.com. and we looked at www.dorbandassociates.com, and we looked at www.ecolonomics.org. All the rest are .coms. That one's .org. So why don't we switch to the Mountain Sky Alpaca site, and we'll go to that one. I got to find my cursor. Go back to me here. So again, I'm giving you a chronology. So about 6 years ago now, we were at the Western Stock Show, the National Western, which is in January, as everybody knows, here in Denver. And we'd visited that show for many, many years before. And we happened to see a booth where some people had these fuzzy, furry, teddy bear looking animals. Honestly, I don't know that I'd ever seen an alpaca prior to that. That's what they were. They were alpacas. And these people were good, friendly folks. And I'm going to switch to that website now. So this is the Mountain Sky Ranch, and it's actually Mountain Sky Alpaca site. At some point here, Elijah, I'm going to want you to go to the, so let's go over and watch that video a little bit. You're going to see, so click on that, bring your screen over. This is actually Channel 9 News. We've been fortunate enough to be on Channel 9 News a couple of times. This was last year, right before the stock show. I think you'll have to click on the play button. There you go. There'll be a little commercial at the start. So whoever here, they should pay us. Whoever this hanged furniture. So again, I was probably not broadcasting. You weren't hearing this for a little while, for a bit there. Matt, I think with sound's back now. Thank you for your message though about it. tell me now, matter of fact, if you're online, folks, if you wouldn't mind coming back in and saying whether the sound is connected or not. Oh, you still wouldn't get it right now. It's going to be delayed by just a little bit. So actually, the sound should come back on the other end in about 40 seconds or so. Well, we had a drought, and hay was difficult to get, and we have to feed hay about 6 months of the year here. We do have pastures, and we use them when we can, but 6 months of the year, anybody that has livestock of any kind. Hay prices went through the ceiling. What we were paying in the early part of the year, or even in the winter 3 years ago, was half of what we were paying during the following winter. And we started to look for alternatives. That's what we do in entrepreneurial land, and also what we do here at Nourish the Planet. So we researched and found that that microgreens, or fodder, which you see on the right-hand side of this screen here. So this is the website for sustainable nutrition, livestock nutrition, which is www.sustainable livestocknutrition.com. If I misspell some of these, I'll apologize in advance, and because I'm trying to talk and type at the same time. And this is the site where you can come and find lots of information, really good stuff, videos, just cruise around the site a little bit, go up into the feed in the box and such. We started to research, and we went and built our own microgreens production system. First generation was a small one that we could get used to. We expanded it, and now it is a business. So we have done what we wanted to do through Nourish the Planet. We've created a very specific business in the area of alternative livestock feed production. And we have self-contained shipping container systems that are producing anywhere from 900 to 1,500 pounds of livestock feed daily. So go down a little bit farther, Elijah, and you'll see actually a whole couple flakes of it, as we call, that are sitting in a feeding situation out at our ranch, that are actually, this was prepared in a container that's adjacent to this. It's now been moved to our warehouse location. And so this was our whole goal. So it's not confusing. It fits right in. So this website talks about something we've developed as a specific business to develop a livestock feed. So the market, our business here is, as you can see up on the top, it's consulting, it's research and development, and it's actually manufacturing and selling and licensing of units that people would use themselves for production of the systems. So again, we'll talk more specifically about this topic in another webinar. So why don't you go to the next site, which is, we got three more real quickly to show here. We're going to run just a little bit over, but our technical glitches, I think you can realize we're going to try to get everything in here. Doug asked a question here. What about atmospheric water generations to counter drop? That'd be great. I'd love to see people working on that, Doug. That's a great question. Sound is good, I see from people on here. And again, I don't know why that clicks off at times. So Elijah, you're going to be switching to the next website. Okay. Moving ahead chronologically. So we started the livestock nutrition just two years ago, a little less than 2 years ago. About a year ago, I was made aware of a movement that started. Why don't you ask a question through the poll, or actually I'll just through chat. How many of you, before you heard about it from us, which you may have from the Nourish the Planet crew, had heard of the word hacker spaces or maker spaces? Not very many, probably. I actually hadn't. I actually, when I heard the word hacker, I thought it was related to computer hacking and people that were getting in and doing either good or bad things in a hacking sort of circumstance. That's not what it means. The hacker/maker movement started in Europe about in the 1990s, and it has just dramatically increased in size. And now, a year ago, there was one hackerspace in Colorado. Today there are 6 or 7, including another one here in Loveland. And a hackerspace is very simply a place where people can go, and this is, I'm quoting a hacker who said this, people can go and make any kinds of things that they like and be with people they want to be with. So it's like a health club for business or for tinkering and building things. So we started this movement. We started to bring people on board, and then we realized there were some things we hadn't thought about, some liability risks and some other things. For the last year, we've sort of put it in a suspended state, but we're starting to literally promote it in a big way again right now. And if you come and visit us, our warehouse, you'll see that we have remote stations that can be moved around. They've got wheels under them so that there's with bandsaws and drill presses and such. The whole intent is that we bring people in here that have the intent to build businesses and yet can't afford to have a whole space for themselves, or can't afford to have something or they live in an apartment. They can't even use equipment that we have here in their current place. So go around this one a little bit, go to the membership page. And so we call that the warehouse, and the website is greenhackerspace.com. I'll put it up on the screen. So greenhackerspace.com, and you're seeing here that we have various kinds of memberships that are intended to be very similar to what it would cost for a monthly membership at a health club, to where you can come and have your business be developing here. So again, another one of our websites kind of talking about things that we do. So quickly, I have two more and we'll be done. So if you'll go to Environmental Professionals Network. We shouldn't allow that happening here. What's that? We're learning. We had a phone ringing in the background that we need to figure out how not to have happen. So we're going to go to two more websites, and this is going to bring us almost up to the present chronologically of things that we're doing. By the way, the other thing, this wasn't happening the other day. These are not full screen. On the screen here, they get truncated, so we're going to have to work on that. They're showing them a little bit smaller. So this is the Environmental Professionals Network website. Environmental Professionals Network is the newest of our businesses that we're developing here at Nourish the Planet and CEED. Again, remember, CEED is Center for Economic Excellence and Development. That's the location. So that's where we're at here. We're at the CEED location. And a number of all these different ventures that all these websites are for, they're located here at CEED. Nourish, EPN, or Environmental Professionals Network, is intended to be a group that will be a membership organization for environmental professionals or aspiring environmental professionals, with its goals as being three goals. One, to help people get jobs, to get better positions in the environmental marketplace. Two, to help existing environmental professionals do a better job in what they do. Either get better jobs, do better at their own jobs, so it's education and training. And then three, to teach environmental professionals how to sell and market, which most people who are scientists don't even care about selling and marketing. And matter of fact, they don't even want to do it at all. So we want to help them learn how to do it. So the idea is to have a website and to have a membership site, and we've got the website, so please go and visit. So this site is, I'll put the name up here now, is www. And just like it sounds, Environmental Professionals network.com. And lots of really cool articles, good stuff you can read, and very soon we'll have a free membership site that's developed for it. It'll be about a month, and you'll be able to log in and get a lot of free information about the whole environmental industry. Notice that we've got the bar at the top there, like you saw on one of the other sites, where you can get this same book about unleashing the entrepreneur within you. So we're going to go to one more site, and then we're going to be finished, which is the last business venture that we've developed, and that's based out of, again, the CEED location here. Is that up yet, Elijah? Balanced Life Team. So I'll type it up here. Well, so this is going to be the Balanced Life Team site. And these two websites look a lot. They use the same theme, and this is going to come up here in a second. It's got a screen, a button bar that's loading still on the computer, on Elijah's computer, so I sort of prematurely went up to it. It uses the same theme, but this one is intended to be maybe a broad brush for all of what we stand for, which is teaching people to have balanced lives. And we believe that to have a balanced life, you have to be balanced in 4 areas. There are 4 areas of your life. And it's much like a chair. You're all probably sitting in chairs. And if you have a 4-legged chair and one leg's shorter than the other, what's going to be? Uncomfortable, right? It's going to be weird. What if one leg's way shorter? Can you still sit on the chair? I hear, yeah, you got to think about it. You can, but you got to know which leg is shorter. You're always having to compensate for it. What if 2 legs are short? Then you can't sit at all. So the 4 legs, and what we believe people should really, and here it's talking about it on this slide. You can see it up on the screen. Balanced Life team is committed to provide assistance for any adult, and really right now we're focusing on adults, although eventually we could work with children too, to provide assistance to any adult on the planet to achieve a balanced life. We strongly believe that a balanced life, don't scroll it, a balanced life involves the balance of 4 life pillars: physical, financial, mental, and emotional. We help people achieve this balance through providing knowledge, coaching, mentoring, and community. So this website is the start of that. This is brand new. We're just getting this off the ground. Eventually, we're going to expand on each of those 4 pillars. And the first one we're expanding on, because we see a lot of people that need it right now, and I'm going to end on this, is the financial one. And we're looking at all kinds of opportunities to teach people how they can make a little bit of money, making the planet better. So I'm going to throw one out right now, and this will just pique your interest a little bit. We have figured out a way, and actually we're not taking credit for it, but we found some folks out there that have developed this, that for no investment, all you have to do is have a computer, and it can be off of your tablet or your phone, that you can make money and using economic sorts of products, promoting them, in doing what's called drop shipping, where you never touch a product, you never take any financial risk, and you're basically selling something for somebody else. So you're becoming really their agent, except you're really not, in that you create your own prices. You decide what you're going to price it at. You take no financial risk, and I started doing this. It was taught to me 2 weeks ago, and in 4 hours I made 24 sales and made over $400 in 4 hours with no financial risk. So the program we're calling is Drop Shipping Domination, and just be looking ahead, because we're going to talk more about it and what it involves. And we looked for it because we wanted to find something that had no risk, because right now, you're going to start a business. Like, I'll just throw out an example. Josh, who's here, has started a business of buying and selling vehicles, okay? And he's done really well with it. But let me throw this out. Josh, you minimize your risk because you know what you're doing, but you do have risk. You have to buy those cars most often before you sell them. In this case, you buy the product after you've sold it. You're kind of wondering, how can we do that? But we'll teach you what that involves. But so in Josh's case, he's buying something first. He probably has in mind, and may even have a buyer already lined up, but that buyer's not going to buy it until he has it. So he's got to have it. He's got to take the financial risk of buying it and then selling it. In this case, you sell it, you get paid. You already have the money. Then you buy it. You never touch it. Somebody else deals with it. By the way, it is the future in marketing and sales across the world because of the internet. More and more people are going to it. And if you look at it, think about it, it's called drop shipping as just a general scenario. but we got really excited about it when we had the group talk to us about it, and it's something we're going to teach people to do. So I'm to the end of the formal side of the presentation here, and Josh, you can go to the last slide, which is just a kind of a finish. Or did you have that one up on that computer? You don't? Okay. Why don't we just stay on that one? Stay at the bottom. I'm going to go back to that. Go back to there was an address down at the bottom of that slide there, and we just keep that up there. Any other questions? I'm actually looking at my screen here. Yeah, Doug, you hit it. An individual Amazon.com business card. Yes, you've hit it right on, Doug. That is exactly the kind of things that it is. And then somebody mentioned we do have one here in Seattle. I think that was related to the hackerspace, and there are hackerspaces now in almost all the major cities in the country. And it says it's for 3D printing, RD, and so on. Yes, and 3D printing is one of the areas. We've focused on our hackerspace being green, so it's focusing on aquaponics and those kinds of things. But not to say that we eventually won't do things like 3D printing and other things like that. Matter of fact, we have a group. And Josh, I don't remember whether Dustin followed up more, because we've been talking about who wants to actually come in with I'll call it a 3D circuit board unit. And we've been talking to them because they want to come in and demonstrate it here. They're actually in San Francisco and in New York right now, and they want to put it in a different kind of hackerspace than a traditional tech hackerspace. And so we're dealing with them and talking about it. So up on the screen right now is actually our address, and this is the address for CEED. It also says Balanced Life Team here, but Loveland, Colorado, with a phone number. You can get a hold of me by my email address that's up on the screen, and there's a Skype address also. So any other questions in the room or on the computer before we wrap up? All right, well, we went over a little bit today, but kind of because of some of the glitches we have. So thanks, and come back on the 19th. We'll send out invitations for you. Right now we don't have a topic, but we'll be coming up with one soon. Actually start giving us topics, people in the room and also over the internet, and we'll be able to get people to come and talk about them for us. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you later.